Okay, guys, we have begun the rookie draft, as you may know. I think most of you do by now. This year I was really unorganized because I had a lot of things going on in other business, mainly, just managing my money right now and the stock market, stuff like that. So I got a little bit engrossed in that whole thing because earnings are due right now with stocks. It's just kind of a big time to be paying attention. And I did get behind. Usually, I take care of this kind of business early, like during the winter. I have so much time to like graduate players and stuff, but it is kind of a boring process, I'll admit. So I fall behind on it. This year I did because I just made a move and a lot of things going on. But I do love this league, and I want to get this thing going. And I think that we can do this the way we're doing it, like on the fly. I'm gonna get around to graduating all the players. I'm gonna tell you about just a couple of the things that are gonna happen when I graduate the players. For example, we're gonna have a bunch of people on the free agent market that aren't really going to be free agents in this league. So what we're going to have to do is slowly put those players, out of the league, which means signing them to the graduation teams. And that does take time, guys. It's boring, tedious work, and I just sometimes just don't have it in me to go do it. And I have to really get in a mode. And this year, because I fell behind so much, I don't want to put the season in jeopardy because I haven't gotten everything squared away to the T. I think we can get through this because we all know enough about this system. And it might even be fun doing it like this because, like for example, we got Gerald Lane on the clock right now. And he's got Malik Willis blocking his ability to sign a quarterback. And Mendoza's sitting right there. I'm going to go over to the draft page at Wikipedia. Fernando Mendoza, the number one pick in the draft this year, who went to the Raiders, is sitting there. All Michigan, Gerald Lane, has to do is waive Malik Willis, who I believe is down to his last season in eligibility. At least he's got maybe 2 years tops. I think just one, though. And all he has to do is waive him, and he can sign Mendoza. You got a fresh quarterback. You could redshirt him if you want, but Michigan looks like a winner right now. I would put him out there. I think, unfortunately, he is going to the Raiders, but they're going to play him most likely. So and you could still go back and get a quarterback. Michigan can. They will create a restriction again if they waived Willis and then picked up Mendoza because he's picked up in the first two rounds. That's considered like a top 14 player of the skill positions, and he will recreate that QB restriction. But big deal. He leads off the third round, high in the draft, third overall pick. There could be a quarterback sitting right there in the transfer draft that he can get. Of course, in the transfer draft, same thing goes. That's for people that don't have quarterbacks, so the restrictions still go just like the rookie draft. In the transfer draft, first two rounds, if you have a quarterback restriction, you can't take the quarterback. You have to wait until round three. So that's how long Michigan would be waiting if they had a transfer pick. That's when you protect less than 23 players. If they don't have that pick, then it moves to the preseason draft, which I believe was 2 rounds. It could have been 3 rounds, but I think we had a 2 round preseason draft every year after the transfer too, and that's just before the season starts to get those last two free agents in and be ready for the season. And if you followed me, I think that all made sense. At any rate, I just wanted to get more into this whole pick today because I'm waiting on Gerald right now as we speak, and he was going to draft a defensive player, which is fine. He has restrictions at every position right now. But the only question I have is there's a couple actually. You got Nico Collins at wide receiver, also coming down to the end of his career in this league. He's going to graduate, I think, after this year. And you got Malik Willis, who's no guarantee to be like a surefire starter with the Dolphins. When you got a chance to draft Mendoza here just by waiving Willis, makes a lot of sense to me. And or even going right now, Michigan has access to the top wide receiver in the draft as well. I'm not sure who that is. Based on where he was selected in the draft this year, that would be Carnell Tate of Ohio State. So these are the options. If Gerald decided to go with a defensive player or waive Nico Collins and go after Carnell Tate, for example, then Mendoza slips to San Diego State, who has the next pick, because San Diego State, if you go back here to last year's bowl results, you can see that San Diego State right here won the Citrus Bowl over Cal, 45-41. So SDSU has the number 5 pick, and they have C.J. Stroud, and this is his senior year. He was, I don't believe he was ever redshirted. So Stroud's on his way out after this year. He struggled last year, didn't make any kind of progression, and his numbers didn't get better really. Maybe he's going to have a bounce back year. He didn't have a horrible year last year. It just wasn't, a rise. He wasn't like moving upward in his curve. And San Diego State had a strong, solid year, but at the end of the day, they never really were considered championship material because Stroud wasn't dominating, I think. And so it gives SDSU reason to consider dropping Stroud should Michigan pass on Mendoza right here. If Michigan wants the wide receiver, or if they want the defensive player, they want to go with Willis this year because they feel like he's ready. Gerald thinks Willis is going to have a big year with Miami, which he very well could. That sets Michigan up for a surefire trophy, hopefully. Honestly, last year they should have won the trophy. The only game Michigan lost last year was to Alabama in the semifinal, the game right before the championship game. And if you look at the score here of their game that they went to the Sugar Bowl, is where they ended up, Michigan. They scored 55 points in that game. Meanwhile, New Mexico scored 50 in the national championship game against Alabama, who scored just 40. So Michigan, it's kind of unfair how things go sometimes in football. Best team all year, Michigan's just flying. Looks like a no-brainer. Week before the final, they struggled just a little bit that week. Lose to Alabama, a team that had no business beating them. And there you have it. They should have won the national championship. But you know what's funny is it doesn't really change their dilemma much because they'd still be sitting on, other than not having the trophy, they'd have the same draft dilemma. Restrictions at all the skill positions and faced with, waiving Malik Willis to get Mendoza. So that's what it comes down to. That's what I wanted to make this video about today. While I'm waiting to see what Gerald thinks, we're going to try to get through these rookie picks as we can. I'm just going to text with the guys that text. For those of you that prefer lists, just make lists for me and let me know that you prefer me to use your list when it's your turn. That way I can just go straight to your list, get it over with, get it posted, and we'll get through this 7-round rookie draft. And we'll be ready for opening day. It should be no problem. In the meantime, also, I'm going to just kind of, when I have time, I got to get back to business a little bit during daytime hours because I am, like I said, I'm working with my money right now. But I will update the grads. I really got to get those guys flushed out of your teams. I'm going to do that as we go. Okay, so that's all I got for you today. Thanks for listening if you made it this far, and happy scouting, everybody. We'll talk to you later.